Hey guys, it's Bridget with San Diego Seed Company, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the number one thing that you need to be planting in the garden in fall and winter that obviously gets overlooked a lot because I'm doing a video on it. Now before I get into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you're notified anytime I put out a video. Okay, so I kind of harp on this a lot because I want people to really realize this it's kind of like a secret that people don't get, especially if they're newer gardeners. And that is that if you're in zone 9 and 10, a lot of spots of zone 9 and 10, especially 10, don't get a hard frost, which means you can grow things year round. And a lot of times what we do is we take off the fall and the winter because it's the holidays, we're busy, you know, whatever. We just aren't in the garden as much. And we miss out on a really important thing, and that is planting flower seeds in the fall and the winter so they establish really nice root systems and you get more blooms, bigger plants, happier plants come spring. I'll give you a prime example of that. Sweet pea flowers. They often are, especially with new gardeners, they're overlooked and people see them flowering in April and they go, oh, I want to plant the blooms, or plant the blooms. I want to plant the plants for the blooms. Too late. You really want to plant them in the fall, in October, really is the ideal time. That's because the plants need to establish really big, deep root systems to give you lots of blooms. Now, what happened is I noticed that pattern and I started doing that same thing with other crops, other flowers in zone 9 and 10, and the results have been incredible. Come take a look. So we've got, this is Gaillardia, which is a blanket flower, and oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite flowers. Look at the bee, look at the bee. And these were actually started in the fall. A lot of times what people do is they want to plant these in the spring because they think of spring flowers, but you're really missing a whole growing season in zone 9 and 10. And what happens in the spring? It starts to get really hot. We stop getting seasonal rainfall. That's really hard for the plants to get established. So these were planted in the fall. Another really good example of them, of flowers to plant in the fall, are any scabiosas, whether it's the formula mix or the Black Knight. Scabiosas do really good when they're planted in the fall. Alyssum is a fabulous fall sown plant. You can see over here, look, all my sweet peas are popping up. Looky! These are growing right now while it's nice and cool. And it's important to realize why we do this. As they grow during the cool season, when the temperatures are really mild and we don't have crazy amounts of heat and we're getting rainfall, these plants can grow pretty successfully and unencumbered, pretty successfully and without being stressed out by crazy amounts of heat and other things that happen in the spring. So they can establish, get really good root systems, and then come April, I'm gonna get more blooms because it's a bigger, healthier plant. Now, I care about this so much and I wanna get people starting to do this more. We have put a big chunk of our flower seeds on sale at our warehouse. You can order them online because I want people to get them now, plant them now, so come springtime you have tons of blooms. Some of the things I've mentioned, like sweet peas, gaillardias, alyssum, cosmos are a really good one. Straw flowers. Now, these actually grew all summer long and they're starting to seed. And see, look at all those seeds. These seeds will fall into the garden, or I will accidentally throw them in the garden, and they will start to grow right now during the cool season, get bigger and bloom come spring when the days are longer. So flowers can be a little difficult because unlike crops where there's patterns that you can follow that's pretty easy to remember what to plant when, flowers are kind of all over the place, which is another reason why you really want to have the calendar, because if you look, here we are in December, we actually list what flowers to plant in zone 9 and 10 in December, for example. Now, if you have really good soil and you have irrigation, the amazing thing is once you plant your flowers in the winter time, they establish throughout the winter, they bloom in the spring, and then come fall, they start to give seeds again. If you have irrigation, you really only have to do this once or twice. They'll start to establish themselves and reseed, and then you don't have to do any work. I have sages and alyssum all over the property that I planted once, that reseeded, and with the seasonal rain, they have continued to come back. Another popular example of that is poppies. Everyone loves California poppies. You have to establish them in the cool season, In the fall and the winter, they'll reseed, and then every year, if you have good soil, you have ample moisture, they'll come back over and over again. I mean, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want blooms every year that you really don't have to do a whole lot of work for? The other thing that's important is if you're not doing anything in the garden, at least grow some flowers, because as you saw that beautiful bee that was hanging out on the gaillardia, you want to have some type of plant material for the native wildlife, for the honeybees, for the pollinators, and it's also way more fun to look at your garden when there's beautiful colors in it. All right, for those of you who aren't going to buy the calendar, I'm just going to read exactly what's in here as far as the flowers that you can grow right now. So listen, blueberry, bluebell, borage, calendula, coneflower, cornflower, cosmos. How quickly can I do this? Echinacea flower, 4 o'clocks, foxglove, gaillardia, gomphrena, hollyhock. I feel like it's like when you get pulled over and you have to say the alphabet backwards. I've never had to do that, but I just hear that that's a thing. So
a friend of mine.
Friend of mine. Hyssop, lavender, lupine, Mexican sunflower, milkweed, nasturtium, nigella, poppy, sage, scabiosa, strawflower, sweet peas, wildflower, and yarrow. Now, that's not a exhaustive list. There's a lot of flowers still that I can't even fit on this calendar. Flower gardening is kind of a whole different world, and it takes a whole another set of knowledge, but at least I've got in here the basics for you so that you can plant flowers in your garden, establish a healthy population of pollinators and beneficial insects, and also just have a beautiful garden, right? We're doing this because we like it, we want to be in the garden, we want to walk outside and see butterflies and bees. And part of that is planting not just for eating vegetables, but also planting for beauty. So just to drive things home, if you're in zone 9 and 10, a lot of areas don't get hard frost, which means if you even get a light frost, you can use row covers. But a lot of flowers will grow throughout the whole year. And what makes flowers confusing is, like, for example, April will look a lot similar to what you plant in December. But there are some differences. Here's a prime example. Dahlia bulbs is here in April. Dahlia bulbs are very cold sensitive, and you wouldn't want to plant them in December. So there are some nuances to flower planting, and if you are confused in any way, again, I wrote it all down for you. I don't know how much easier I can make it. You can get the calendar and we can help hold your hand so you can have a beautiful garden. And in the end, if you plant something and it doesn't take, who cares? You can always plant it again. That's the beauty of gardening. There's no mistakes.